We're good? All right, good evening, everybody. We're calling to order the meeting of Skokie Public Library Board of Trustees of Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 at 6:33 p.m. Any comments from observers?
No.
Okay, thank you. And approval of the minutes of the regular and closed meetings of February 11th, 2026. Do we have any questions or concerns over those? No questions? Then do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the regular and closed meetings of February 11th, 2026?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Wow, you got that vote in. Thank you. Okay. Executive Director's Report, starting on page 3, Richard.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see all of you. Just want to start off with an update on our property tax revenue. This is our fall property tax revenue from last year. We actually, since Friday, this changed a little. We currently have about 93.5% collected, which is good, better than a month ago. So we're seeing regular distributions every week, and they're coming in a little slower than Allison and I would like. I would wish the rest would just kind of fly in, but they're coming in little spurts. So we'll continue to keep on top of it and contact. I just sent the county treasurer's office another email saying, here's where we're at. Can you give us any updates? So I expect that we'll continue over the next few weeks, continue to inch closer to kind of 98%, which is our usual collection rate. And hopefully in the next month or so, we'll start also seeing the spring collections come for this year. So better news than a few months ago. The current strategic priorities, you saw the attachment to my director's report. It's like this. There's a sheet in there. It looks like this. And so just wanted to provide a quick, brief update on the current priorities. So this, just as a reminder, we have a overall multi-year plan, but every year we take a fresh look at what it is we want to focus on in that upcoming year. And so not a lot of huge changes, but most of it is just kind of like tweaking and kind of changing directions a little bit, or acknowledging priorities that we feel like we've already made significant progress in, and we can kind of like set to the side now as an ongoing work, but not necessarily something we have to label as a strategic priority. So if you have any questions about any of that, I'm happy to comment, but I'm really excited about the group of priorities we have this year. And then closer to October-ish, we'll start thinking about shifting our focus really to the next strategic plan. And that will be 2027 through 2030 is kind of what we're looking at. And as I think I mentioned last month, I don't have a sense of exactly how that process will go. And that will be in conversation with our director of community engagement, Nancy Kim Phillips, and all of you, of course. And so we usually try to have a really inclusive process with staff, community members, obviously our board. So I'm looking forward to that later in the year. Just wanted to mention the art request for proposals. We're really excited about that, as I mentioned in my report. And I think I've mentioned this in board meetings in the past. We've had a really tough time finding the right artwork for around the staircase over there on the second floor landing. And so after more discussion with our consultant last year, we thought this is probably the best and only way we can find something really. So Susie did a great job, our administrative coordinator Susie did a great job in putting together the proposal and meeting with the art committee And they were very productive about me, so I just want to note that. Yeah, I missed the meeting and they had it all done, so, hey, I get that. This is looking like now, so it all turned out really well, and I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to seeing the proposals that come in. So we'll definitely, nothing will be decided, of course, without you, all of you, just like in the past with new art acquisition. For those of you who are here for that, before any major purchase of art, we bring it to the board, we share the background information, and then we ask the board to approve the expenditure. So it's a fun thing to review and to see the art as well. So
I have a quick question. I'm so excited to see it. Would there be any conflict of interest for us as board members to disseminate the call?
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, because even if people submit proposals, they're not guaranteed the
Okay.
the award of the, yeah, Sean, what do you think? So we'll have, the art committee will kind of whittle it down to 3 finalists,
Okay.
work with those finalists to ask them to develop the proposals a little bit more, potentially fly them out and interview them in person so they can see the space in person if they aren't in the local area. And then recommend 1 finalist for the board. And hopefully, that process will run smooth, but smoothly, yeah.
What
And I
is-
know that,
Go ahead, go ahead.
I know that we've offered jobs to Jay Ryan in the past.
Mhm.
Is there, not that I love the idea of
Yeah.
putting out a call, but, was there a reason behind that decision?
Of
Not just asking.
Yeah, we didn't really consider that, to be honest, because we love Jay. He's like a part of the family at this point, and he's had the bookmobile, look like our staff lounge upstairs on the 3rd floor, and our sprinter van. He just sent me some email today. He's finalizing those designs, so we feel like we worked with them a lot, but we want something kind of, we're open to new ideas and new artists, That's the only reason. We love Jay. So, yeah. I'm sure we'll keep working with him on other projects. He also did our story time room, the ceiling in our story time room. Yeah.
Are we looking for a specific piece of art or an artist to come and work directly onto the wall?
I think probably the latter, unless an artist has something already that they've created that they think will be appropriate, they can propose that, I'm sure, but we're imagining someone taking a look at our space and then thinking of something just for that space, so it's kind of the right size, the right.
But specifically a piece of art, or they can work directly onto the wall?
Oh, good question. I guess we didn't really specify that in the proposal,
Mhm.
so I guess. Yeah, we've had, most of our art in the building is separate, like
Right.
pieces, but.
Like the staircase.
Yeah, that's a good question. We're open. We didn't put a lot of restrictions in the RFP in terms of like style or, type of art or medium or anything like that. So we're kind of just open to seeing what people propose. So yeah, please, if you know artists or galleries, or feel free to spread the word.
Which was leading me to my
Yeah.
question, where are we publicizing this? Sure.
So, Susie, do you want to talk about cafe? You know more about it than I do. I mean, that's where a lot of artists already hear about these types of opportunities, right?
Yeah, cafe is short for call for artists, and it's a website and like a hub where a lot of artists go for commissions or to like propose. It's all kinds of different things, like whether it's proposing exhibits or just selling individual pieces of art or proposing for commissions such as ours potentially. And a lot of government institutions and organizations and nonprofits also advertise there, so it's really a huge amount of base. I think there's like around, I don't want to missquote, but there's like somewhere between like 60 and 80,000 at least registered. And when we sent out our call, it was going to reach like the entire US and that many artists.
I think it's a well-established way to reach artists.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks.
Let's see. Speaking of art, Susie and Van Rosenbaum, our visual design supervisor, have been discussing the idea of a donor wall as well. And as I mentioned in my report, we've had a couple of recent inquiries about like kind of having, a memoriam like to honor a family member or something, like a plaque on a bench or something like you see at parks. And so we don't have a lot of benches on our property, of course, and we have not had the practice of having plates like that. So it made us pause and kind of led to some exploration. We're not nowhere near like a firm idea on this. It's just, I wanted to let you all know that we're thinking about this, and actually I would love any reaction or feedback, because our library historically has not been really proactively engaged in development, like raising, funds through donations. We don't have a friends group, as you all know, and we don't have a foundation, like many other libraries. So really, and that's been intentional from what I've always been told, by my predecessor and the board members that I've known over the years. But historically, the library, board members always felt that they wanted to avoid kind of those types of organizations, like kind of parallel organizations, because they felt that it was a responsibility of the community at large to fund this library through public tax money. So like the idea of a public good, right, as opposed to us really relying on private donation, year to year. Having said, and which I understand, and I think that's actually really smart. That's why we've had such a stable tax base over the years, but there is something to be said about honoring, of having like community members, have a piece of their history, of a family member, or, kind of a meaningful connection to the library, solidified in that way through a donor wall. So it's not even necessarily about raising tons of funds, to be honest. It could be seen more as a way to just connect with the community and kind of have this long lasting, connection with the community. So just wanted to, actually, if anyone has a reaction to it, I'd love to hear. So this is not like, there's no proposal or anything, obviously.
I was surprised to see it because I know that there's kind of been, I wouldn't say active discouragement of donating books to the library. So that was very interesting to see. Would there be sort of like a program to invite people to do it?
Yeah, we're not even there yet, yeah, but that's a good question. How we would advertise, how we would talk about it, we need to figure all that out. What levels of donation we would even want to establish, I know I was recently at Schaumburg Library, and they have a new donor wall, and they have different size, like kind of blocks, so that you can, if you donate X amount, you get this size, and X amount, this size, so.
I'm trying to think of compared to how we do it at our church, right? So there's many ways to donate. It doesn't have to be just books or money, but it could be stock, it could be all sorts of things that people could take financial benefit from on their taxes and whatnot. Maybe it would just be prudent to like every so often just communicate that to the village.
Yeah.
If somebody's inclined to make a donation, then you could then maybe have some kind of system to do that. Doesn't necessarily have to be tiered. I kind of don't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this idea. I mean, I'm sure there's been other folks that could fall into this category that we're not aware of. So
Yeah,
it'd be nice.
because we have never had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, we don't really communicate anything to the community about donating to the library. We have a page on our website where, for those who inquire, we point them there, and then people make donations, usually.
I've seen it like
Yeah, exactly, they're always mentioned in our board packets, and we always send them a letter, thanking them. But beyond that, there's no physical recognition of those donations, so.
I also am not such a huge fan of like the different sizes, different tiers, but I have seen it done, because we also have them in like most of our synagogues, where like the plaque is added and it becomes like almost like a picture on the
Yes,
wall.
right.
So that kind of just is also, it's art for the wall, so.
That's kind of what we had in mind, actually, is, outside in our south courtyard. Because inside the building, we really don't have a lot of empty wall space, because we cover our walls with bookshelves and our art. So, but in the south courtyard, I'll picture that, there's that large brick wall. And it's a really nice beautiful space, trees there that are really growing into that space and tables and people eat lunch out there or relax out there and nicer weather. And so that brick wall is kind of what we were imagining, having some type of outdoor donor wall.
It would be really cool if it was like a tree.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking
Yeah.
actually, yeah, but there's lots of different designs obviously we can
Mhm.
pursue. A book, yeah. exactly. So, anyway, we'll keep thinking about it, if you have any other ideas, or if you even see examples of stuff like this in the
Mhm.
community or wherever, please let me know if you like a certain way something was handled, we're kind of open to exploring, we want to be inspired, obviously, by what's out there already, and, so Susie and Ben and I will continue to think about this more. If it solidifies into a plan, we'll bring it to you. Speaking of trees and, so we have a seed library. Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose, but there it is. It's actually, if you go down this hallway right here, all the way to the Oakton Street window there. I believe it's there right now unless it's out for a program or whatever, but, yeah, please check it out. We're really pleased with how it turned out, and I've already heard from Bennett that, the seeds are really popular, they're glowing. I think Amy ordered more recently, so we're really excited that the community has already responded in such a positive manner.
What I liked about it when I went to the link about it, because I did share it with like Park Block and everything. I liked how not only was there the seed library, but there was also corresponding programming that was really tied to it, like learn how to garden, things like that. So I thought it was really cool to not just have, it's great to have a place where people can get seeds, but to actually have content where people can learn more about it. I thought was a really cool tie-in.
Yeah, good feedback. Amy's here in the Holcomb, she's a learning experiences manager, so she and her team plan all those events, so. And it's near our nonfiction collection, where we might have books on gardening and that kind of thing. So we have an opportunity there to connect it to the collection as well. So. Good news about the Dolly Park Imagination Library. You've heard me talk about this over the past several months. We have funding. I didn't know it was gonna happen that fast, but yeah, one day I opened up my email and Jim Shapaniak from the Stockton Community Foundation announced that he got a $30,000 grant all of a sudden from the Madge Goldman Foundation. And I think former Mayor Van Dusen helped make that connection for Jim. And so that was such a great email to open up, and we're so excited. Our staff are really already planning a launch event and kind of planning to promote it this summer. And like I mentioned in my report, our library will partner with other libraries, but our library will be the administrative kind of hub and maintaining the database of people who are registered for the program. And so we're really excited. I mean, kids in this community and throughout Allentown Township will be able to get one book a month, 0 to 5 years old. So that's fantastic. Yeah. Let's see, I think that was pretty much it. If you have any questions about anything else, please let me know. I'm happy to expand on anything here.
I was wondering if, like, we have figured out a way to recoup the interest that we've lost from the taxes.
Not yet. Yeah, no, that's a good question. Allison and I have talked about that too. I mean, it is quite a bit of money from lost interest, and there have been a lot of discussions among other taxing bodies within Cook County who are, in the same boat as us. And talking about, what is the obligation of Cook County the legal obligation to give us that money earned on taxes, because they're holding our funds, right? So if they're making interest on accounts, then that money should be dispersed to all the taxing bodies, right? Because we're the rightful holders of those funds, and so right now it's still at the point where we're all just trying to get fully funded here, all the revenue, and then I think that there's going to be an ongoing kind of matter to be resolved with the county. I don't know in what shape and form, so I can't really speak prematurely on that, but there are people who are kind of exploring different avenues of trying to recoup that interest, but I would be, at this point, happy just to get close to our full funding of expected revenue, and then if we have to, work on trying to recapture the, approximate lost interest on our, tax account, then we can explore those options as well. Yeah, but really good question, yeah. I wish I had an answer. Anything else?
Very busy. There's a long, there's like a long director's report.
Oh,
We've been doing a
no.
lot.
Sometimes it's like one page and sometimes, this tends to be a very active time of the year for all of us. Not just me, but our whole team. January through April, like leading into summer reading, we just kind of go.
I just wanted to I thought it's really great that you guys are being recognized at the Public Library Association National Conference with the extra class, like the presentations. I think that's really cool.
Oh, thanks.
I just had a question though, with like everything that has been going on recently in Minneapolis, are there any extra like precautions or things that are happening with regarding the conference? And anything with that?
PLA has been, and Laura's on the board of PLA, so, she can talk about it, but they've sent out some communications that just kind of prep, attendees who are planning to travel to Minneapolis. And I mean, what I've heard from the director of Hennepin County, is that they are waiting for us. They want us to all
Okay, great.
show up and support the local businesses and kind of help with, restore their community back to normal. So, yeah. Laura, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, the PLA has been working very closely with the local organizers and the business and cultural community there, and they really are looking for us to come and support, and for our library colleagues there, just a show of we're here, we see you, and we support you. So yeah, there's been a lot of messaging around that.
That's great.
Yeah. And Annabelle and Amy and I are working hard on our presentation, so.
It's gonna be great.
All right,
Any other questions or comments about the director's report? Okay. All right, thank you so much, Richard. We're moving on to the approval of the February 2026 disbursement report, and that's pages 7 through 16.
I have a question under maintenance. There were 2 plumbing expenses from FJ Kerrigan. Just wanting to make sure everything is okay with the plumbing in the building.
yeah, those were. So there was actually a number of charges or expenses that kind of added up, rolled up into those 2 invoices, but I'm just gonna list them out here. Installed new mixing valve and kitchen faucet, kind of cleared up some kind of blockage on the 3rd floor. We haven't had a lot of those, thank goodness, so investigating repair work done on a building water pressure system, removing, we had a water heater in the garage, the bookmobile garage that we no longer used and hasn't been used for a long time, so we had that removed. So investigated and repaired an exterior wall hydrant. So
Okay, I just want to make sure there was
yeah,
like
just
nothing.
like a random assortment of winter issues, I think.
Because I know for a while we were having some, like maybe a year or so, like some clogging
And
issues
that
and
was
stuff.
so
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
You don't like to talk about those times.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's nothing, nothing sinister.
No,
going on.
no,
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm glad, happy to say that, they're just kind of one of the mill things, so. Cool. Right, Laura, I mean,
Yeah,
am I
yeah.
missing anything? Okay.
This is a purely selfish question. Page 15, there's a charge to Yoto. And I actually this week was looking if the library had Yoto cards and I didn't see any. I was wondering if that was.
I don't even know what that is.
It is for Yoto cards.
Okay.
They are coming with the kids' library of things.
Oh my goodness.
Stay tuned.
Thank you.
What are your tokens?
They are basically portable audiobook machines.
Oh,
There are a few
I know, okay, now.
different brands. One is Yodo, and that's the one we're getting. And so there's a device, so we'll have a couple of devices for people to check out, to try it out, to see if they both to use it and also to see if it's something they might be interested in buying for themselves. And then we'll separately have cards that can be used with the devices.
I have seen that type of thing.
So
I didn't know they
it's,
were called Yodos.
A way to have screen-free
Yeah,
audiobooks.
very cool.
Sounds like cassette tapes to me.
Yeah. What are cassette tapes?
Right.
I have a walk.
Might have
Right.
people in the room who don't know.
We're going back, guys, we are going back. I did have, just in the contingency,
Uh-huh.
can you talk about
Yeah.
those two payments?
Yes, I can. Just 1 second. So, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Dero, I guess, or Dero, is we're installing have you seen those bike repair stands, like at parks and outside at the
Mhm.
civic centers or whatever? We're installing one on the east side near our bike racks. So people can like mount their bikes and kind of tweak them, fix them, and they can also like get air for their tires, so, that's that. And then Literacy Works is, an excellent training that a lot of us went through recently called the Clear Language Lab.
Oh, that one, okay, you
Yeah.
spoke about that
Okay,
last time.
So that is coming out of the contingency, because that wasn't really something we had budgeted for, but it was, it ended up being such a great training. I've been telling everyone about that.
And that was something that you wouldn't have pulled out of, for example, like, professional development or anything?
We could have, I mean, we were originally gonna take it out of continuing education, but
Yeah.
because we've been fully spending the other lines or plan to kind of get close, I
I
said,
see.
no, just take it out of contingency.
Okay.
Because it really wasn't budgeted for.
Is that something that you wanted more staff to be trained in the future, that you'd be putting that into the budget?
I mean, we haven't discussed that. I think a lot of us did go through the training, and so we could do a little bit of a train the trainer type thing, and kind of
Mhm.
share what we learned with
Sure.
others, but I could see us, potentially, wanting to expand the training. Or maybe do like refreshers or,
Mhm.
yeah, but-
I mean, for the cost of it and the amount of what you're saying, that it was, very helpful, that's really not too bad if you
That's-
think
that's
about
not
some
the
of the
whole
other.
that's just one of the payments, yeah. It wasn't, I don't think it was, I would say it was rightly priced because it was so.
And was it
good
charged
and
like per attendee?
How was the price?
So it wasn't per attendee, we did essentially 3 phases. So the first one in the fall was an introduction to plain language for a large number of staff, and part of our fee was being able to record that so we could turn it into a training module that we have in perpetuity. So that's kind of the basic foundation.
Mhm.
And it was a 3-week writing for understanding and 1 week speaking clearly for every audience. So those were kind of the 3
That was kind of
components.
the next level training.
Yeah.
Got
Some of us.
Like the next year or so, yeah.
But like I said, I've been recommending it to everyone. They work with a lot of government units and nonprofits.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you.
What's Dialogue with Donuts?
Where is that? Is that in? I don't know. Is that in the?
That's all I see. Okay.
Page is that on?
It's on page 14.
Dialogue with Donuts is a kind of an informal gathering of staff where I am there and I just answer any question that they ask me.
Okay, so it's for staff.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
It's like a staff communication opportunity. We call it Dialogue with Donuts because we have dialogue and we have donuts. Yeah.
And we love a good alliteration.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was what this was.
Well, donuts.
Yeah, donuts, yeah, Joe's donuts. Oh, okay, I see it. Yeah, we usually have 2 sessions every month, like a morning and afternoon.
This is just a random question
Mhm.
that's related to the budget. Why do we need so much postage? Is it for the newsletters?
Yes, most of it is for the newsletter actually, because it goes to every Skokie household and business, so it's like, you know, 30,000 plus newsletters being distributed through postal service, so.
I have another question.
Sure.
And again, this could have been talked about before I came, I don't know. I'm noticing that, which is amazing, there's a lot of like staff things and a lot of meetings, and at all these meetings, there's refreshments,
Yeah.
which is so nice.
Yeah,
Have you guys ever looked into using like a specific caterer to cut down on costs?
we have catering, I mean, we use local restaurants and through their catering service that we need, or,
Just going through one place for every time
oh, okay.
could make it, I don't know, less, I mean, it's not like a huge amount of money
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time,
yeah.
but just a thought. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we can explore that for sure. I think.
I mean, it's nice to also support local.
Yeah.
I just wasn't
yeah.
sure if it was discussed
I
to
think-
use.
I don't
somewhere.
remember us discussing that, but we do like kind of mix it around, you know, and,
Yeah,
so it's not that. like,
and
all
again,
the
it's so
same.
nice that
Yeah.
there's like always nice refreshments.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
So many opportunities for everyone to come together.
yeah, I think people have responded positively, whether it's a staff kind of meeting or opportunity for staff to connect or, the public, like the programming,
Yeah,
through events, but yeah, we can definitely look into that. If you have suggestions, please let me know.
I mean, from an efficiency standpoint, I'm
Yeah.
afraid of maybe exploring it would
Yeah.
be cost effective.
Actually, not to poo-poo the idea, but I mean, I've used catering companies, they're per person and it's usually a lot more expensive. Unless you guys know somebody that has somebody or something.
well, if you're getting, normally, well, I'm an event planner. So I know a little bit, but if you were to just get like, let's say routine, like this type of thing, like every month.
Mhm.
If you were to say every month we want a platter of whatever it is, they might do like a set cost that's lower than
Oh, okay.
the cost that you spend
Kinda
every
like a
weekend, every month,
regular-
every way, anyway. So like if you have like a routine staff meeting or whatever it is, and you don't need to have a whole sit down meal, which
Yeah.
could be a different type of thing.
Yeah,
And you just want to get platters. It's just something to think
yeah,
about.
definitely. We
I
always
do have
look at-
another point of view on that. It may be economical and cost efficient, but also the employee experience. If I walk into a meeting every month and it's PITA in every month, I'm gonna get PITA in time, like a burnout. I'm tired of PITA in.
Yeah.
I don't wanna see a PITA in again. I don't even wanna go to that meeting because I know when I go to the meeting. No shade to PITA in, let me be very clear.
I was like, I love it.
I love
I know,
PITA in.
careful.
I love PITA in, but if they're, if you're going into a staff meeting or if it's something to show staff appreciation.
Yeah,
And it seems like it's cut paste, then that could actually be detrimental to the work that you're doing in the meeting. Not that food is a major factor, but it is
No,
a
it draws
factor.
you
and it also shows how much
yeah.
the administration appreciates when, you're like, I'm gonna cut and paste every month and get the same
Yeah.
thing. It's thinking about people and being very thoughtful
Totally
when
agree.
we're planning.
I mean,
I was
there's
thinking
a-
more of like catering that provides multiple different types of foods and you can switch it up every month,
Okay.
not like a restaurant. Again, because I agree with you. You don't want the same thing every time.
We love PITA in.
Yeah.
For the record.
We love Peter.
Yeah, I know, it's like that's, those are fighting words in Skokie.
Right.
Yeah, well, I appreciate all the comments, I guess I can take a balanced look at this and, maybe there are times when a caterer would make sense for like, economy efficiency and then there are times when you just wanna mix it up too, of course, so. Susie is the one who's really, in charge of all that and she does a great job of mixing things up and
Mhm.
people are usually happy with what we get, so, yeah. I think food is a big part of it. I don't want to discount even
Yeah.
the impact of food, I mean, we're always happy when we have better food.
Free food, I mean, like you go to
Yeah.
university or something, you see a platter.
Yeah.
I think I've asked two questions that are both food related.
Oh,
That goes,
yeah.
it goes to show.
It kind of, it's like the one thing that really brings people together, I feel like,
Well, and you you know, I love a good tie into the strategic
Yeah.
plan, right? But when we talk about connectedness, right, that food is generally, and when we look at the programming that we have too, you'll get all of the programs that are surrounded, that we do around food and bringing people together at the table. So
Yeah,
it is a nice way to connect everybody.
I know, like more food, more art, more music.
Mhm.
Just
I
need
just
some of
want to
that
say for the
stuff.
record, he did order pita in January.
We did.
so-
Did you look it up?
This just happened to.
Cause we love pita.
We are actually catering pita in tomorrow.
Oh. It's like we're getting free publicity now. We swung to the other side.
We do not intend to give free publicity to any organization.
We're always walking a line here. Tightrope.
Okay, any other questions or comments about the disbursement report? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the February 2026 disbursement report?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, individual roll call, Aaliyah,
Yes.
Elisa, sorry,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Lula, Ella,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
7,
Thank you.
motion passes 7-0. Moving on to the consent agenda, we're going pages 17 through, oh boy, 24.
I'm excited about the Chicago Tribune, but what were we doing before?
Oh, thankfully Annabelle's here, so she.
It wasn't available before in that format. There was a digital sort of page replica format that was available through a vendor Press Reader. I don't know if you're familiar with it. So it's available in Press Reader. Chicago Tribune pulled it from Press Reader. They had a dispute with them, and it took about 2 years for the Tribune to work with another company to make that available. So that was the only thing we've ever had. We've never had access to the Tribune website, so that is new.
Yeah, that was good.
I was at an event over the weekend and someone approached me saying that they have noticed that we've had an increase in the amount of teen activities. So, and they were very excited about that. So, 'cause they said, you know, their kids are kind of in that tween stage and that they've been coming more and more to us. So I want to provide positive feedback because I do like every month how we separate youth and families, teen and adult, and it is being recognized and seen by members of the community that we are putting an emphasis on teen. So kudos to that. So even the activities look cool. Like I want to see these beaded heart earrings. I think they sound very cool. I just think it sounds like there's a wide variety of activities from volunteering to whatever, so I think it's awesome.
I felt the same about the miniatures workshop. I
Mhm.
was like, I'm gonna go.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Well, maybe we can have another, Corbin Hanson is a local, library user, and she is
She's
a
amazing.
huge fan of our library.
Oh,
so, yeah.
good. She has an amazing Instagram account. If anyone was on that app still. It's incredible. The images she shares.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know if anything's in the works, but maybe we can have her back too.
I don't see like I remember when I got my newsletter in the mail about the new maker and like residents, I was really excited to see. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that and like the skill set they're bringing. I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah, Amy, do you, or Amy, do you want to?
Sean is a local calligraphy artist, but also works with laser engraver and cutters. So it was a really cool mix of like art that we don't necessarily offer in the studio with equipment that we do. And we actually met Sean about a year ago because Richard visited his previous studio, made a connection and was like, hey, so we had an in for a calligraphy workshop for kids that went over really well. And then when he applied for the maker and residence, we're like, yes. So I actually haven't done the community project yet, but you all should too, making like individual mosaic tiles to put together.
And this is our third Maker in Residence, and we're planning more for the new fiscal year too, including a team of Maker in Residence, right?
And is the Maker in Residence, is that an Illinois initiative or is that specific to us?
That's,
It's all us.
That's all.
Wow.
yeah, it's been a huge success this year.
I was really pleased to see that our gate count went up quite a bit, compared to last February, so that's really exciting.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why Wednesdays might have been the highest through the week. Do we have any indication on when it, is this certain programming? Is there, like, I
You
don't,
know, it's interesting because Wednesdays used to be a slower day and post-COVID that became one of the busiest days. So I don't know exactly what it
Has
is.
to do with like people working from home more this weekend? or-
So when new materials are released, the holds are trapped typically on Tuesdays, so people get the notice Wednesday morning.
Oh, that's it, that's it then. Why did you shrug earlier when I looked at you?
Well, I shrugged and then I thought about.
Oh, okay.
I was doing the math in my
Makes
head.
sense.
of
Oh,
when
okay,
the notice
okay.
is.
I was like, you have the answer.
We do also have a lot of programs on Wednesdays, so
Yeah,
that is
we-
a big draw as well.
Week to week throughout the year, Wednesdays, especially if you're looking at the staff view to see not just when we're publicly using the rooms, but when community groups are using the rooms too. Wednesdays are like five items.
Wednesdays
over
out
the
the
other.
green in the summer.
Wednesday was always the day I came with my baby for the baby class.
Oh. So we have a lot of reasons actually.
Yeah.
yeah,
And in February in particular, we start to have the AARP tax prep assistance. So that's a seasonal big one.
Yeah, that's right.
I went to the Young Steinway
Yeah, nice, yeah,
with my little kids
beautiful.
and they loved it. And I love that, I don't know if anyone's been here on one of those Sundays, but you can be inside in the theater, which we started there with high hopes. Wonderful, but then it kept going, like concerts do, and it kept going, and my kids were like, it's still going. And I was like, yeah, well, we can go if you want to. So one of the songs ended, we quietly, as quiet as we could, walked out, and all of a sudden they saw the screen on the outside, and it's as if you're like watching a show. They sat down and we sat and watched almost the rest of the entire thing. So I love that you have that option to watch from the outside as well as going inside, but my kids loved it and I thought it was so amazing.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
That means a lot actually, because that was all part of the Petty auditorium
Yeah.
renovation, like to include that as an
I
option.
think it's amazing. It was a great idea.
Thank you. That's really good to hear it being used up. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, my 2-year-old sat and watched, so.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the consent agenda? And do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Seconded.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, we're moving on to the approval of the revised borrowing policy on page 25.
All right, our Director of Access Services, Annabelle Williamson, is here to talk about that.
So the board looks at the borrowing policy every year or two. And I will say in the distant past, the borrowing policy was a very long and somewhat Byzantine document. And through the years, it was shortened and shortened and shortened and shortened and shortened, which is excellent. But we find sometimes that there are some times when it has been shortened a little bit too much. And there are some things we want to clarify in the policy, both for the benefit of patrons and staff. So most of the changes in the document, as mentioned in my memo, is mostly clarification of procedures, of practices that we've all was undertaken, but they were not in the policy formally, so we're putting them back in. The one big borrowing change is that we're proposing to expand our STEAM kit checkouts to reciprocal borrowers. So up to now, it has been Skokie library card only. For years, it was a new collection. It was something that was emerging that we wanted to make sure that our residents had good opportunity to use. But it's kind of now matured as the collection has. We have a pretty steady influx of both materials and checkouts and returns. And we do see reciprocal borrowers, including sometimes kids, asking if they can take the items home. And so we want to make that available to them now. So I recommend that the board approve the revised borrowing policy. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
I think my main question is for people maybe between the ages of 14 and 17, just because like when I'm reading here, it's like when they turn 14, right, they get an adult card, but they're also not, so in terms of like financial responsibility for something, like if they like there's a lot of language here about damaging components or losing items, like what is the typical process then if there's a 15-year-old who's not legally an adult, but they have the adult card, like how is financial responsibility held for that age group?
So typically their parents come and pay or their guardians come and pay.
Okay.
This is more of a difference of the reverse of a guardian or parent using child's card
Oh, okay.
and there being a question about payment.
Okay.
So typically there's not an issue
Okay.
with regard to that.
Okay.
It's just more clarity for that. And also, you know, a level of responsibility for the teens as well. One of the reasons we made the change actually had to do with computer use policy. And at the time, study room policy, I think, potentially in terms of allowing teens to be able to use this floor versus just in the team.
Okay. And then, like, what is the process then? So if I get my library card, I'm 13 and a half or something, I start my journey here at the library with a child's library card, my birthday happens, like, how is the library card change? Like, is that something I have, you guys doing it behind the scenes, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly do it in person if someone comes up and says, hey, can I have my card changed because I'd like to use the computer lab upstairs. But our web and data coordinator runs a report and basically does something magical with the computer as she does, and automatically does that for patrons.
Okay, how often does the automatic update usually happen? Is like a monthly thing or?
I think
6 months or once a year.
I think 6 months or once a year.
Okay.
I believe she times it near when we do the student card sign up.
Oh, okay. Or like a daylight savings time. No, I need to time it twice a year.
Yeah, we also do 2 times a year, we do an address verification.
Okay.
As well. So we receive a report from an outside vendor with regard to address verification, everything from they've moved to a different address within Skokie, to they've moved out of state, to all of the above. And so we have those kind of all scheduled and automated in a way, because typically for the teen youth cards, it becomes a question because relative to the computer use, usually after the school year has started.
Okay. Oh, thanks for clarifying all that.
Sure.
Which is one of the best things, because if you, for those of you who had your card a long time, you no longer have to renew your card every 2 years, so they pull up that way.
Staff love it too.
Yes.
I have a question in regard to the businesses. The section for businesses, section 1 right above borrowing. It says businesses located in Skokie or members of the Skokie Chamber of Commerce, ... Then it goes on to speak about authorized employees. Perhaps that should start with authorized employees of businesses located in Skokie. It's a little confusing because it says the business is eligible for one, but then authorized employees may check out things, so maybe we should.
So the businesses are the ones who authorize the employees. So they're
Right, so it
providing
needs
the
to
list of
indicate that
employees.
it's an individual, not the business, at some point that's authorized, that can check out. The way that it reads is, not gonna use Peter N again, what's next? The way that it reads, in my opinion, which is confusing also, because I've encountered issues at the circulation desk, because this hasn't been interpreted properly. Authorized employees of businesses located in Skokie. And then you can identify what authorized employees mean, but I think it's important to say that individuals at the business are authorized, will be eligible to get a card, not just the business itself. Because if the card doesn't say Oakton College, then Ella Whitehead, if it's Ella Whitehead who gets a card who's been authorized by Oakton College, that reads two different ways and can be interpreted differently.
So are you, just so I'm clear, I think I understand what you're saying, the first sentence, are you just, suggesting that we add authorized employees out?
Right,
Oh, wait,
because is it the business card? So I go in and I'm using the one Oakton card. I'm authorized to use the one Oakton card. Or is it the individuals of the business who are authorized by the business make it a library card in their name? Because they are working for a business that's located in Skokie or a member of the Chamber of
As
Commerce.
opposed to the business account.
Yes.
Yeah, I
yeah,
was
just
confused
clear.
about the business account too.
Okay, yeah, there's not, technically not a business account,
Right.
so it's all individuals who've been authorized by the business.
But we can make that change and we can amend the, policy
Yeah.
to make that clearer.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's a good catch.
I must say that I am so proud of our library for looking at these policies regularly and not just having things sit for 10, 15 years. When you look at how often our policies are revised and reviewed, I'm just proud to be a member of the board and associated with the library because we really are being very proactive in the work that we do.
Thank you, that means a lot, and thank you to all of you for wanting to engage in that process.
Any other questions or comments about the revised borrowing policy? Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve the revised borrowing policy as amended, as we've discussed? Did I say that right?
Yeah. As amended.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to page 29, the approval of revised resources selection policy.
Oh, yeah.
That's me. Usually when you see me, I have
Two.
five different I never come for them. So the resources selection policy, the board reviews this every 2 years. It was last reviewed 2 years ago. And this time around, really, you know, I'm very proud of this policy. It means a lot to me. It's always, you know, looking through it and looking through the appendices of the Freedom to Read statement. It's always very personally meaningful to me. So this time around, really the only thing we are proposing is adding a paragraph that talks about AI. Have you guys heard about AI? It has for us and has for libraries. And we're increasingly seeing instances of AI generated content or AI enhanced content from publishers. And libraries across the country are putting in different statements, policy statements, looking at different ways, and sort of reviewing it now with it being such an emerging topic, such a quickly changing topic, so many things happening around it. We felt that really the best thing that we could do relative to AI is to review it as we would any other material that we're considering for selection, and using that criteria, which is very robust and well established, to see if it meets our needs and the community needs. And then if we are able to, through frankly, publisher disclosure, make a note that content is AI generated, that's something that we would want to put in our records to make that as transparent as possible to patrons. But within that, given the changing context of AI and, you know, who knows what will happen next, that is what we were comfortable doing. So I recommend board approval of the revised resource selection policy. Again, very welcome to answer any questions, or if you have any comments about this or any aspect of the policy or collection.
I had a question about like best, like what are other libraries doing with AI? Like, I just find it interesting and maybe shocking that publishers, I mean, because AI by its very nature, it's not creating unique content. It's sourcing things from other places and collating it into an item. So I keep thinking about things like copyright and all of these other issues. I just want to go into that a little bit further, because I understand the need to add it to the policy, and at the same time, it's just interesting to me that publishers are openly using AI, and that they don't have to disclose necessarily if something, if I read this correctly in the memo, that they don't have to disclose if they're using AI to augment or even create their content. So like what's been the buzz in the library industry with like how libraries are handling this?
So I think it's a little bit all over the place, because again, it is a big topic and there's a lot we don't know, and it's constantly, it feels like it's constantly shifting under our feet. So there's a spectrum of reactions to it, and they range through the spectrum of probably on the milder side, where it's not in the collection policy, it's in a larger communication policy or another element, to being more prescriptive about if we know about something that will be AI, that we will try to avoid it unless it meets other things. The thing to consider though is that there are occasions where, and a very good example is AI generated voice narration for an audiobook that otherwise wouldn't be narrated, could provide accessibility access, access to a larger audience. So from that perspective, it is a tool being used. And so we'll look to review the tool based on the criteria that we use to review.
Thank you for giving that example too. That's not an example I would have thought of off the top of my head. I was, you know, on my mind automatically goes to books, and then books being authored by AI, and that's a very different scenario, which obviously, if you're following your process, you know, like unique perspectives, making sure everybody, you know, there's representative, you know, like all of these types of things, it seems like the right choices or appropriate, I should say appropriate choices would be made based off of, you know, all of the other criteria that we have with like the library bill of rights and just like all of these things. So that makes a lot of sense. So thank you for, I didn't even think about like which one.
May I ask, maybe you would know more than me, but is it also the case that some publishers, I mean, they might have trouble determining whether one of their writers or authors is even using AI to partially write their material, so like they might not even know, right? It's not like a conscious decision of publishers to.
And there are fully AI directed publishing companies, so it's not even to be assumed that there are humans behind the massive amounts of materials that are being published.
Yeah, so it's like, it's just all over the place right now. Right?
Yeah, on the other hand, you also have authors who are using it as a tool to like expand on their own material, and they'll like feed the prompt in and feed in like their own work and be like, read my novels and help me write a new novel. So it is technically their work and they're using it as a tool. So personally, I thought this was very well worded, considering that there are no regulations right now and it's gonna be changing, and I just, I really thought it was worded very well, considering that it is used as a tool and not just for the things.
No, that's why I'm glad that we're having to discuss, because there's all these instances where, you know, you wouldn't think,
I think it makes sense for now. I do hope, and it seems like everyone's on board with this, that it's reviewed at maybe even a more frequent pace than other policies, because things are changing so quickly, and all of us needing a compass. I know Center for Humane Technology has been a really solid place to check out in terms of orientation around how humans are collaborating with machine learning and these tools. So I commend the document and stand by it. I just think that this is something that all of us want to be like just a few steps ahead of if we can take the lead, just to be prepared, because it's coming at us in so many different ways.
This is a policy, to your point, that it's reviewed minimally every 2 years, but like there are examples in our history where we reviewed it in between, like every year.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of a change that, Animal wanted, or I think 23, we made a change, in 24, we reviewed it, but didn't make a change. And then in 26, obviously, we're bringing it back as a regular review schedule, so.
Has there been one?
Has there been what?
A lot, like submitted, like things requested, things.
There have been a
submitted.
lot of lawsuits. But yeah,
So it's not even applicable to us yet, but it will be in the future.
yeah. I mean, one element of it is, to Richard's point, of publishers not being aware of it, but, if it's not disclosed and it's happening in aggregate, it would be impossible for us to review every item. It would be,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if publishers in general are feeding it into just for copy editing and just, just
for
as.
copy editing, and also another element,
That's a good point.
artwork.
Yeah.
So actively using that, and then again, there's a lot of ethical issues, but there's also, Photoshop is a manipulation of an image. It's a lot there. So having something that's based still in our existing policy, in our existing procedures, and seemed like the best tack to take now. So changing, and also again, give our staff who are selecting materials that North Star of what to look at, and not to be consumed by being on, trying to be on the case of figuring it out.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then do I hear a motion to approve the revised resources selection policy as presented? All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
All right, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Annabelle.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the projected FY 2025-2026 budget.
26, 27.
26, 27.
So as you remember, I'm sure last month I presented the first draft of the projected budget for the next fiscal year. Allison and I have looked at that projection, made some adjustments. I outlined those adjustments in my memo. There weren't a lot of big changes. I guess the biggest one, maybe most significant one, was the IMRF line decreasing by about $91,000. And that's just, every year it's difficult to predict what that line is going to be, because IMRF is, Alton, do you want to explain it? Like they have a different rate that they use, so.
The IMRF, the employer rate changes every year based on their projections. And they don't publish that percentage until later, like closer to January 1st. So it doesn't really line up with our fiscal year budgeting. So like last year, we predicted it to go higher than what it was at. That was the consensus amongst the different agencies, and it actually went lower. So it's a hard number to predict. So we just kind of follow trends, and then in addition to that complication, the our staffing, who is currently eligible for IMRF on our staff changes. So I just took a harder look at it this year, and I was like, well, I think we it would be safe to go here if we want to, and so we decided that we're gonna try it.
The other changes are pretty straightforward, the expanded weekend hours that I shared information about last month. That, is really the reason for the salaries line and the related FICA line increasing. Utilities, Allison has been sharing some more information lately with me about, those are not fun conversations about our higher utility costs these days and our heating bill and our gas bill, I should say. And so, I'm assuming that many of us are experiencing that same phenomenon at home. So just like at regular households, the library, even more so, right? Because it's on a bigger level, has utility costs that rise when, utility companies have higher rates. So we added a little bit there. And then, as we discussed last month, we, as suggested by the board, we zeroed out the operating capital line, which is not the utilization of the reserves, but the little kind of the line at the bottom of our normal budget. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I welcome any comment between now and next month as well, of course. Feel free to reach out to me via email, phone call. Next month, I'll prepare the final version of the proposed budget and ask the board to approve it.
Just a question on the utilities line.
Sure.
Are there any things that we're doing to help our own expenditures on that? Or to decrease any of the things that we're doing? It's within our locus of control, right?
Well,
The
Replace the
chiller or
windows.
anything else that we've done with like the windows and the chiller, will any of that help?
Yeah, we should. The first floor windows is a big project we took on this year. I mean, but it just kind of lines up with increased rates from gas companies, so, and a cold winter, and, so just, it is kind of what it is. I don't know, Laura, did you have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, I was gonna say basically the same thing, that we've kind of made some improvements and enhancements over the years and done what we can, but that's no match for the rising cost of, we still have to keep the building. So even though it might take a little less energy to heat the building now, especially in the first floor, we're still paying higher rates.
I think it would have been worse if we
Yes.
hadn't done the renovation project like in 2020 or whatever, because then we would have old windows all around the building. An old chiller, and we're replacing our air handlers this upcoming year. Yeah, we're kind of taking every step we can, but it's just the fact is that we have a massive building that we have to heat and cool and.
Have you considered solar panels?
Interesting that you mentioned that. I have been kind of resistant a little bit, frankly, because I think years ago when we were looking at our roofing project, the roof membrane was such a sensitive thing that any suggestion of adding anything else on top of that membrane to puncture or compromise it in the long run was like something we wanted to avoid. But I've been I haven't actually talked about this with Laura and Vinny, our building services manager, but lately I have been kind of thinking in the back of my mind that we should take a fresh look at that, It wouldn't affect the gas bill but like the electricity is actually not the issue for us, it's but still like in the name of like sustainability and kind of like, just best practices, we might want to explore what that would bring, to our building.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, electric stuff may not be going up as much now, but I mean, I feel like my electrical bill has, I don't know, other people, I feel like rates are climbing with it could be, if it's not an issue now, it certainly could be later. It's good to be proactive and like think about those things,
Yeah. The electric bill is not something that we cover, but what it would save the village and taxpayers money if we want to do that, so.
Well, and for collections and stuff, are there certain temperatures and things that we need to be keeping like books at, or I don't
We
know,
don't have,
humidity
like-
levels, like. those kinds of
Humidity is
things?
more of
Yeah.
an issue than temperature.
Yeah,
And everything is automated, it's on software running, like our lighting, our
Lights dim, the temperature changes.
temperature,
Yeah.
air handling, like it's all automated, so it's kind of finely tuned, and.
as
That's
we
when we see the
experience
lights
here
dim.
in
I
this
was
room
going to
when
say
we're
we
in
see
it
the
and the
lights
lights shut
dim.
off.
Yeah, the lights shut off when they want to shut off.
Whether we're in here or not.
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah,
In
the
terms
program.
of water, we have the sprinklers in the summer, those are all timed and programmed and things, so we're trying to
Yeah,
control it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're open a lot of hours and we're not just open to the public, but we're open to the staff.
Sure.
Even more hours than that, like before and after closing, our opening closing.
Yeah.
Don't we often serve as like a warming center and other things like that too during the
And a
winter,
cooling
so,
center.
yeah.
Warming and cooling, that's why it's it takes a lot for us to close the building for emergency weather, so. And usually even then we'll try to find some way of like kind of keeping something open as an option for the community.
Wednesdays I'm green, when it's raining out, everybody comes in here.
We're gonna look into that, we're looking into that, that might not be the case going forward. But, yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep looking at the utilities costs and kind of looking at different parts of the building. And, every once in a while we have like a capital asset study as well, and we can examine it through that lens as well. So,
Okay, so nothing no motions for that, that was just an
yeah, that's just
FYI,
an
right?
FYI.
Okay. All right, so moving on to the acceptance of award of bid for exterior sealant project, and that starts on page 49.
Laura can take over.
So speaking of the building,
Mhm.
the water, but in this case, we don't want the water.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned in the memo, per our capital asset study, it is time to take a look at the sealant that surrounds all of the second and third floors, all four sides. We have these precast concrete panels that often have seams between them, but also there are seams where they meet the building. So all of that needs sealant as well as around all of the windows. The third floor windows were put in during renovation 2001, 2002. So that is quite old. The windows on this floor were sealed when they were put in during the renovation, but the windows on this floor, there's no overhang. They are just exposed to rain, hail, snow, everything comes at them. So that sealant deteriorates a little bit faster. So we hired BTC, Building Technology Consultants, to design out what exactly needs to be done. So they did sampling of the various sealants. It's not uniformly in the same shape, but the only way to see if the sealant is still good is to, scrape it out and look at it underneath. And once you've done that, then you also have to repair it. And quite a bit of it is beyond end of life. We've patched, we've covered it up. We've, like with our air handling units, we've babied things along as we can, but it is now time to just completely scrape out, reseal, because we definitely, in a building full of paper, do not want any water incursion whatsoever. So we want to proactively get on top of this. So BTC ran the bid process and is recommending that we accept the low bid, which was from Berglund Construction, for a total of $262,000. So I recommend board approval of that bid, and I welcome any questions.
Can you talk about kind of the timeline of this project and how that impacts, patron hours and things like that?
Yeah, because it's all exterior, there should be very minimal to no impact on patrons using the building regularly. We're hoping to start as soon as possible. If it were to be approved tonight, BTC would start working with Berglund right away. It would probably take until the end of June, maybe early July, depending on the weather and other conditions, but hoping to move as quickly as possible. But mainly they'll just need to be, there might be a day where we have to close the south drive for a few hours while they're up on the platforms and things. Yeah, but for the most part, it'll be business as usual.
So if we, you know, if we approve this tonight and they give them a call tomorrow,
Mhm.
like they'll start on it in the month of March. kind of thing?
Yes, hopefully, I
Okay.
mean, maybe April, if, you know, if it keeps snowing every day and
Mhm.
it's not
hope
safe
not.
for people to be up
Yeah.
on scaffolds because it's icy,
Mhm,
that's one thing, but, yes, definitely the idea is to start as soon as we can.
mhm.
Do we know anything about the business and how long they've been in business, or if they're, you know,
I don't know exactly how long Bertram's been in business, but, BTC has worked with them before, they're familiar with them as a company and didn't have any reservations about them, as, you know, a brand new company or anything like that.
I have a question on page 59. It says additional unit prices not included in the base bid. And obviously, these are pretty small numbers, like $160, 155, but then I see a percentage and 15%, like what is that 15% on? Like that could be a substantial amount of money if it's, like,
Yeah.
what is that 15% based on?
Sorry, we did get an answer back from BTC on that. So the unit prices are hourly rates for the contractors. Excuse me, so if a change order or additional work were to come up, they know what the hourly rate is for that.
Okay, so basically, like, just using the superintendent number, for example, this job has already been quoted, assuming a specific number of hours or whatever based off of the work. But if it goes over that, then that superintendent would be paid $160 an hour, and then it would go down and so forth.
But that would have to go through the change order
Like how we usually
process.
do
Like,
all
they
of
can't
that,
just start
okay.
charging us $160 an hour.
Okay,
So you would have to all be approved by BTC and then us. And then the 15% is the contractor's markup on the materials. So again, if there's additional work or a change order, they can help calculate, what does that even involve? How much
okay.
would that be?
Okay, so this is only specific to like if a change order were to happen, like this is not like we agreed to this and then, oh, there's an inflationary cost on sealant or something, and then
No.
we could possibly pay an additional 15%
No,
on
this
that.
is their bid. This is what we're paying.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then could you explain, let me go back here, on page, what's our page 53, and then when you go to the light blue section of the bid, it mentions total base bid, and then underneath it, it says alternate one. And I understand that that's how you get the total for the entire bid, but what is alternate one? Like, what is that $2,000?
I had, at the bid opening, I had the same question. I
Yes.
looked at Susie and said, we had an alternate? Because in the renovation project, the alternates were generally, you could have this carpet or you could have
Yes.
tile, and so you have to pick one and
Yes,
then it's an alternate cost. In this case, I asked BTC about it. Alternate one is required. It's a performance bond, so it's an insurance policy if the contractor goes out of business. And payment bonds are if the contractor fails to pay their subcontractors. So this is just the way that BTC set up the bid, but this is a required piece of the project.
okay.
But I had the same question.
Okay, and then the last question is about the bid bond. So if you go to the end set of the documents where there's all this information with like the traveler's insurance, I just want to make sure I understand what this is for. When I read through this, it almost makes it sound like if we go ahead and hire this company and they say, sorry, we're not going to take you up on this job, like, are we guaranteed then a certain amount of money back? Is that what this is guaranteeing? Or like, did I not interpret that correctly?
So I asked about this one too, and he said that bidders were required to submit a bid bond for 10% of the base bid amount. So it's correct, the library could pull the bid bond and collect that dollar amount if the contractor decides not to accept the project. And the idea is that that compensates the library for then having to go to the next
With all
bidder.
the time and everything that we've spent.
Well, yes.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
quoting it out, you know, you coming to us to authorize this approval and like
Mhm.
everything. So if if something were to happen, then like I said, if we say we're choosing you and whatnot, then it'd be 10% of the overall bid that they provided. So like the 200, it'd be like 26,000. Is that right?
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, 10% of the base bid amount.
Okay.
But we've never had that occur in any of our bids over
I can't
the
imagine
past
somebody
10
saying
years, yeah.
no, but you never know. Like say they
You never know.
you know, took a really big job that they didn't anticipate having, and then they can't take on our work, and then wasted this time. I just wanted to make sure that. we
Yeah,
would
oh
be
no,
able to
it's a
meet.
good
It's like a
question.
type of earnest money essentially. I just want to make sure that we are guaranteed that if we go forward with them.
It's good to understand.
Yeah. This is a fairly, the way I see it, I mean, Laura, please let me know if you disagree, but the way I see it, this is a fairly straightforward project. In terms of complexity compared to many other things that we've tackled over the years, so hopefully, maybe I jinxed it, but hopefully that this project is pretty straightforward for them.
And they are removing all the old sealant
Yes,
before putting on new sealant,
That is the
correct?
spec, is take it all out, put in the new better stuff.
I worked in coatings for 3 years, so that's why I
Oh.
was asking. It's like best
Yeah.
practice. If you don't remove stuff and you put
Right.
stuff on top, it's not.
And you
it's
can
not
see
good.
places where we've done that over the years, just to try and
The patch. job.
cover up and patch. But it is time to do
Okay,
the full project.
okay. Just.
And then
making
how
sure.
long is this supposed to last?
They should be done by end of June, early July, depending on the weather.
No, the
What's the
actual sealer
lifespan?
itself,
Oh,
yeah. the
I'm
life of
sorry,
the
yeah.
sealant.
It has about a 20-year lifespan, maybe a little longer. Obviously, we've gotten more than 20 years out of the old sealant, but that was, there have been technological advances since then, so it should perform for a
Extend it
longer
out.
period of time at a higher level.
So what
So I
lasts
won't be
long-
here next
lasts-
time to ask you in 20 years. to answer.
I may or may not be here.
We'll see. We'll be here and we'll come and reminisce.
I'm gonna look out the window and be like, remember that sealant incident? Okay. Any other questions or comments? You are, that's very
Yeah,
thorough.
thank you for fielding this.
Do I hear a motion to approve the award of the bid from Berkland Construction Services for the exterior sealant repair project at a total cost of $262,000? Individual roll call, Lisa? Yes. Mary?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Ula?
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
And Michelle says yes, motion passes 0.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
You. Comments from trustees?
I have one. I was thinking, just sitting here. So it's a personal thing for my son, right? So when he's done reading the next book in the series and then a new one's coming out in like a month or so, he looks forward to reading the next volume or whatnot. But I noticed that there's several popular series and we don't seem to get the next issue. And it's like way past like the date that it's come out. So I don't know if, how often we kind of keep up with, new books that are coming out.
I'm sure we
stuff like that.
do. I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
If you send us a list.
I put my little ticket in.
Through the website?
Yeah,
Was it a purchase suggestion or?
probably.
Okay. So if it's a popular series, we get it.
That's what
So
I
if we
thought.
haven't received it,
Surprising.
and you're sure it's not on order,
It's not like a hard copy, nor is it on Libby from what I
yeah. If you send Richard a list, we can look into it.
Or if you know them right now, I can just let the list.
I at least know one.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely get the new stuff, I'm
Yeah,
sure,
that's
but,
what I thought, 'cause I'm like,
some things
how does the
happen.
school have it before like the library has it?
We always get it really quickly.
I mean, again, it's popular, I guess popularity is subjective, but,
But all the kids in the class read it, so I assume it's, I don't know.
I know, now I wanna know what
Tell
the
us
series
the
is.
title.
Well, you don't have to reveal your reading.
We're gonna put a whole request on it.
Agents of Suit.
Wait
So it
for
depends.
has a new one.
so graphic novels, the on order records are different, they don't show up they show up differently.
That's
We can look afterward, we can go to
Yeah.
the computer and
Okay.
we can take a look.
I know what
You already
book you're
borrowed it
talking
from
about,
someone.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a new hardcover, it's like
Yeah,
4 or 5 years after the last one, they
Yeah.
suddenly released a new one.
I,
know this series from my daughter, so
Yeah.
yeah.
all I know is a friend had a hard copy and she was reading it, and then I asked if we could borrow. it,
Yeah,
'cause
we'll definitely be able to do that.
We need to be in the know. Cause you won't move on to the next book in the series.
Oh, I
I
see.
get it, I
We
mean,
have 4 copies, they're all
it's
checked out
critical.
right now.
Graphic novel.
No, it's a new hardcover.
I'll check after.
Yeah.
We'll get the guy. I just
I'll
wanna be
show it to
sure
you
that-
afterwards.
Okay.
It's great to hear that we've got avid readers, so that's
Oh,
really
yeah.
exciting and eager.
Yeah.
Any other comments from trustees?
I'm gonna check out the seed library after if anyone wants to join me.
Happy to walk people down.
Everything I plant is not successful. I'm very bad with seeds. If someone could turn me into a green thumb, I would happily.
Maybe it's kind of
Maybe
like-
this, maybe it's my jam this year.
I say the same thing. It's like I raise humans, not
Well,
plants.
come
Succulents die in my house, like, it's not good.
All right. I guess we have to have a motion to adjourn. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
If you're in favor, say aye.
I.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.